I've been making really cool, original survival horror music with the Korg Wavestate. This is a really special hardware synthesizer. I've been recording it quite extensively over the past year, and earlier this year in February, I created a wide range of recordings inspired by Resident Evil 4 Remake. In these survival horror games, one of my favorite things is environmental storytelling. I use non-intrusive music to create a canvas that gameplay, visuals, and sound effects can pop off on. I really like sparse harmonic and melodic elements with texture and real life atmosphere built into the music, and that's how I've provided this sound on a budget for indie game developers. If you're interested in this process and you're just finding me on YouTube or Instagram, please consider following or subscribing. It helps me share my music and add music support to other musicians and developers. I've been running this small series on Instagram and YouTube, showing my process. I've been writing it out. I've been showing images. I've been showing videos and gameplay of Resident Evil 4 Remake with this music. This is my first attempt at weaving all my footage together to show the process as it's happening. The goal of it is to provide an insight into how you can record your hardware synthesizers, either directly into the computer or into a summing mixer, how you can think to design it out, the image, mixing, and how I build an arrangement in the computer. The footage you'll see is a combination of this camera you're seeing right now, the Zoom Handy camera, also my cell phone of close-up, as you can see, close-up of the mixer, and OBS footage in the computer. The goal with this series is to provide an insight into how you can do this yourself. So if that's why you're here, please consider leaving me feedback down below of what you would like to see, how you would like to see this better, what would work for you, what you're looking for, what you're working on, and how, if I've been doing it and you're trying to do it, how I can serve you better. Let's dive right into me approaching this, how I'm doing it, and what I'm thinking on the mixer. So the first step to any of this is inspiration. Sitting down at the synthesizer and just finding a sound I love, I really like. I found this one patch, it's in bank C, it's called C10, and it's called Audio Spa. Just a sound, another sound in here, another cool sound. And what I did is I heavily modified it and came up with this big, evolving, tense string atmosphere. And I just mashed down my fingers on the keys. It resulted in this effect that I just really was heavily inspired by. This all starts with inspiration. And I find a sound and I go, okay, let's record this sound. So that's the first step in my mentality here is I don't just always wing it. Sometimes there's experimentation, then there's a plan. And you need to start with experimentation and then formulate a plan in order to facilitate this whole thing happening, because it can get really overwhelming. Okay, so we're going to go for it. I'm going to try to just go with both hands, but then I'm going to try to just maybe, I don't know, I'm probably going to use one hand. I mean, I might even just go like this. I might even use my hand like this, like padded, so I can get more keys down, but then free this hand up so I can actually go over to the board and use the volume automation. But I don't know, that's probably a little much, so I'm probably just going to go for it the way I've been doing it and just try to trust what's going on. I'm just going to go for it. So okay, here we go. Recording it in OBS too. I'm recording this in Logic at the same time, so I'm hitting record at the same time. Okay, record's hit. Okay, let's play it. just doing the sweeping thing, which, I don't know, I kind of wanted to sustain a little bit more. I don't know, maybe... Maybe this will help. I think that's better. Try to hold it steady now. Get that high end hiss from the compressor, I think, when it's that loud. That'll clean up pretty good. I'll just keep it here. Keep this going. It's getting a lot tamer now. A lot more stable. And I matched it up with Resident Evil 4 Remake. I was like, this is a big evolving texture, non-intrusive environment that really fits in that AAA 3D great graphics kind of game. Not so much the older games. So it's kind of an offshoot of my sound. I have different types of sounds. So what I'll usually do first is I will actually play, first I'll get set up for recording. Right? I'm ready to record into the Tascam, and I'm going to perform the part in myself. I'm playing the synthesizer myself. I'm creating sound. This music isn't complex or melodic. I'm not performing much on there. I am just creating sound with this thing, with an experimental means of just kind of putting my hands on the synthesizer and gently moving around and listening and feeling the sound evolve. So this all starts with just recording the sound, right? Getting a good recording. I will actually, what I learned here is I will let the recording go way longer than I would want it to. I go like for 7 or 8, 9 minutes, sometimes 10. I made a 38-minute recording the first time I made this because I was so fascinated. I was just listening and experiencing it. Have fun with this. The important thing to do is have fun when recording this. Yes, we have a purpose. Yes, we're trying to do a job, but having fun with the recording and the music allows you to capture that fun. Creating and recording more audio than you usually will need will result in more options. Options are really good in mixing and arranging and building an arrangement. I can chop this up any way I want. I can make a 10 to 15 minute recording of this cool idea and capture really interesting moments or whatever I capture, and I can chop that up and have several tracks if I want. So I found a sound I really liked, and all I'm doing is going left and right out of the Wavestate, left and right stereo. What I did is I went left, which is mono. So if you only wanted to use left, it would just be a mono signal. Left and right creates a stereo signal. So I went left mono out into my compressor, It helps me shape and beef up the sound a little bit, compress it, and kind of fatten it up a little bit. And I go out of that compressor into a DI box, which helps me split the signal. If it sounds good and I'm getting multiple images, all the better. So I go into the DI box and I get a XLR DI signal and I get a through signal, and parallel to all that, I get the right output of the synthesizer goes directly into the Tascam. So all three of these signals are going into the Tascam. So what that results in 3 different images that give me options. The next thing to keep in mind is when recording these 3 images into the Tascam simultaneously, I also, when I record in real time, I do a real-time live recording of it. When I hit the stop button, I get a stereo recording made, which is left and right on 11 and 12. So the Tascam Model 12 has 12 tracks, Model 12, 12 tracks. You have access to 10 of them. 2 stereo tracks, 7 and 8 are stereo, 9 and 10 are stereo, and then you have mono tracks. You can combine them to create stereo tracks. There's a wide range of things you can do here. 11 and 12 are reserved for what you create. So the recording you create, it automatically gives you a stereo recording that you can transfer off onto other tracks, and there's a whole wide range of things I'll get into with that. So just providing a basic overview here, I'm going left and right out of the hardware synthesizer. I'm splitting left into a compressor and a DI, and I'm going right side out of the synthesizer directly into the Tascam, giving me 3 images right off the bat. The more images and signals you can record simultaneously, the more options you have. So options are great in mixing and arranging and making final choices on your arrangement, because then you have options that sound better and combinations that sound better than, just having one signal. If you don't have a summing mixer, don't worry about that. You can go left and right directly into your interface and get great results as well. You can have 2 mono signals. You can have 1 stereo signal. It's the same thing. It's just, this is a little bit more complex going into the Model 12 because it gives me more options. I have channel strips to mix the sound and options of how I want to design the sound at the fundamental level. The cool thing about the Tascam Model 12 is I can go standalone from the computer. I'm live recording directly into the mixer, onto an SD card, and I can live record directly in there, then transfer over to multi-track recording mode and overdub that recording in real time. I can play it back through the mixer and record it over itself. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go for it. 5 and 6. Okay, we're going to make this is a little higher than that. Okay, let's go for it. We got 6 minutes and 44 seconds. I also can transfer these files as I create them back onto my computer, which allow me to create a trail of audio that I can reference during mixing and building my arrangement. So I keep track of everything I do, any purpose that I would want. I can create stems, I have raw files, I have a trail of audio that I can use. So that's a good tip as well. Having options is great. So just keeping track of all your audio is a good way to make decisions when you come back to build your arrangement. One thing I really learned from this entire process is monitoring. As you can see on the mixer, the red fader is the master fader, the main fader. It's at unity gain. It's at 0. It's as high as it's at unity gain. I've got the most gain and I feed everything into that. So that's my signal path here is I'm going from the synthesizer at like the volumes around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm going into a compressor. I'm monitoring the sound I'm monitoring the levels in with the digital readout there. That line is at -12. It's to prevent digital clipping. I'm trying to get as close to that line and get the strongest signal I can. One of the main things I learned here is that I was monitoring too loud. So I could have been recording a little hotter to get a stronger signal, but this sound is very fragile. So the recordings I made aren't as strong as I wanted them to be, but I can add additional post-processing to these recordings. Actually, what I've learned is most of the time, these things are designed to prevent digital clipping, and they kind of want you to naturally post-process them with gain, compression, and other means. Mainly just those are the main two things to kind of give yourself a little bit more of a signal, strengthen your audio a little bit. I've learned sequential processing is best. So I've gotten a strong, healthy, safe signal that I'm going to have to add a little bit of gain to. I'm going to be compressing. I'm going to bust some compression, maybe do some imaging. I'm going to mix signals. A summing mixer is compensating for all those signals. They're going to be all individually a little weaker, but they're going to sum up to create a healthy signal. So keeping that overview or that end in mind when you're creating and recording multi-track recording is important. You don't want multiple strong signals that are all, peaking too high. They're summing up and they're just distorting and smashing your main. So that perspective is a good thing I learned as well. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I hope it's provided you insight into my process and how you can apply it to your own music and your own audio journey. This is the first time I'm making a video like this, and I combined old footage with new footage. And there'll be many more videos like this. My smartphone recently died, and when I get a new one soon, I'm going to film and provide a much deeper and cohesive insight into how to record synthesizers into the Tascam and into the computer, and combining the whole process. Engineering, audio, and a creative approach with the inspiration of these games we love, making this music that we want to make. Thank you for sticking around. Please consider subscribing. It really helps me spread my music. Also, there will be a part 2 to this video where I provide a mix breakdown of this track, Pale Farmstead, the track that we've been looking at in this video. I've recorded several other tracks like this. Some are a little bit more complex. They're all different. Every recording I've made is different, and I've created different canvases. So there will be a part 2 up on the channel, and it will provide more of an insight into the mix breakdown. I wanted to keep this video more focused in around 20 minutes, and there will be several other videos coming of mix breakdowns, insight into how I've used the Tascam, how to use the Tascam and how I've used it. Like I said, this is my first time making this video, and I'm using older footage, and I'm learning as I go. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. And I hope that I'm adding value to what you're doing. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.